Good evening and welcome to Hot Topics from the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Parker Hagan. And I guess you're saying, what in the world is Dr. Val doing with shades on? Well, about 3 weeks ago, I had macular eye surgery in my retina. They said I had a hole there. So they said the recovery would be 4 to 6 weeks. Well, we're 3 weeks in, and I still can't see in my left eye. I'm a little impaired. So, and any glare in my other eye is so distracting and hurtful that it's been really hard. So that's why we had not been live, but I have my co-host with me.
And great day. I'm not going to say it's April Fool because we've been being fooled since January 2024.
Ooh,
But Dr. J.R. Thicklin here. We're just so glad to be here on this beautiful day as we enter a new month. And we're excited about it. You know, in the midst of everything that's happening, we have a message for you. It's very simple. We shall survive.
absolutely, Dr. J. When I said a lot's been going on, I know good and well folks didn't think we would be in this place. I know good and well they didn't think we would be in this place. So much has happened between, you know, uh, people being laid off, being fired, um, tariffs, war, everything has been taken and shifted upside down. You know, the attacks on every branch that we've encountered of government, you know, the veterans are being attacked, the senior citizens have been being attacked. It has just been awful, Dr. J.
No, it's amazing the things that are happening. I think the shock of it happening so quickly and back to back. But there's a greater question. The question really that has not been answered: why? Is why? Why? What is the real logical reason? We keep hearing things about for America, for America, the people of America. Well, what people of America? Because if you're looking at it, the people of America definitely don't want the chaos that we're seeing. And the things about it that you're harming the most vulnerable population. When we start thinking about, slashes in Social Security offices, slashes in the VA. I mean, literally, cutting departments literally out, and we're saying that we're saving waste. Now, how are we saving waste? But what waste are we concerned about? We're selective about the waste that we're concerned about, because when a person is running up the country tab on just back and forth here to Palm Beach County alone, costing our county taxpayer over $3.3 million just to up security for them. When we talk about the money that's being wasted alone on these golf courses, millions of dollars have been spent on your golf excursions already. What waste are we talking about? And who are we really fooling here? At the end of the day, you're giving tax breaks for the very, very rich while you're crushing the working class and the lower people. And I don't understand why people don't see this. And for me, this doesn't have a thing to do with Democrat or Republican. The only thing that gets me with it is that my good Republican brothers and sisters that are sitting on their hands and sitting here going along with the chiffoonery. Somebody's got to speak up and say, listen, enough is enough. What is your aim here? What is your motive here? The whole thing. Listen, one thing we can say is this. There's not only smoke and mirror we got was the fact of the things he said during the campaign. He's delivering on exactly what he said he would do to a certain degree. There are many of us that did not believe, and I said many people that didn't believe or didn't read or didn't think this whole Project 2025 was a real thing, but it's been a real thing, and it did not just get written in 2024. It's been in the work for a long time. And so now what we're dealing with now is a system, if you would, panic that is happening, because by the same token, you're like pulling a thread and you're unweaving things in this country that is necessary. And when I look at the fact of the mass deportation as if everybody that's being deported are criminals, and that's not what's happening. We're seeing very hardworking, contributing people that have contributed to our society as part of our society being deported. For what reason? Well, I'll tell you the reason. The reason is simply this: the browning and the darkening of America has reached the proportion where rich white men are very, very scared, but they've been afraid for a while. And now what's happening now, they're not thinking this thing through. You deport all these individuals, who's going to be attending the farms? Who's going to be manning all these things? Surely you don't think that, people are just going to go back to the field. No, no.
Well, no, Dr. J. That is exactly what they think, because during the candidacy, he was saying that all of the illegals are taking all the Black jobs. So they're expecting the Black people to go back to the fields and pulling cotton and tending vegetables and stuff like that, because of the fact of what he did. We got people in all parts of workforce and educated brown people in high places, and they've cut jobs in government, they've cut jobs in education. So we're educated individuals holding positions, and we're being stripped from there and pushed into a corner and crippling us as a nation, because then we have individuals that own stores and businesses that are going to fold up because the American people aren't going to have the resources to be able to go and patronize these establishments anymore. So how are we making America great again when you're putting all of us in impoverished situation? Yeah, I say all of us, because guess what? Those that are rich, their finances are going to start dissipating as well, because they're in positions and have stores and what's not, that nobody's going to be able to patronize because we're living in poverty. But guess what? We're going to stand. We shall stand. We shall survive. We're going to make it, because see, one of the things I know is that we as a people are relentless.
Absolutely.
We will go back. We know how to be and do without, and how to improvise on things. We didn't always have paper plates and stuff where we had to go to the store and get disposable stuff. We could wash dishes and clean us. So we know how to mop floors. We know how to have gardens in our backyard and grow our own fruits and vegetables. We know how to do that.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think for when we say that, we're talking about, you and I represent the baby boomers generation, but we're talking about our younger people, perhaps even to a certain degree, definitely our millennials, our generation, our millennials, our Z generation, and as well as, of course, the alphas, and maybe some of the Generation X. Those generation don't understand the things that have been overcome. They don't understand to the degree, because they more or less have benefited from it. So by the time they get to it, it's already in place. But the fights have been fought, the marches have been marched, bloodshed have happened, all those things have happened there. And so it is not that when we talk about the fact of things that are happening as if we're fearful that we're not going to survive, because we've overcome before. We understand that, and we will again. We survived. Think about this. From the shackles of slavery to the Jim Crow era, from segregation to systemic oppression, we have continuously endured. We are people who have proven and that we turn pain into progress. So that's no different. And adversity, we have always turned into advancement. But we're looking at the generations now that are going to deal with things that systematically changes so many things that they've been accustomed to. Could you imagine the impact on Social Security? When we're not going to touch Social Security, and yet it's still people work their whole lives.
No. He says the president's exact word is, we're not going to touch Social Security for now. So that means he has things coming that he's going to do, take away or add. He tends to do something with Social Security. So everybody that's on Social Security or disability should be wondering what's their next move, because people living from paycheck to paycheck when it comes to that Social Security and disability as well. And you're talking about strengthening us as a nation and saving us all these billions of dollars, talking about we're going to have so much money, we're not going to know what to do with it. Who's going to have so much money we won't know what to do with it? Who?
Well, I recently purchased a book, and I've only gotten to probably the first few pages, and it talks about the fact racism is really about greed. It's
Right,
about greed and
exactly.
power. And,
Yes.
and it's about greed and power. And what we're seeing is that when one feels that's, basically what we're going to see, and America is going to see this loud and clear, is that this whole thing that we're seeing, it'll go beyond just racism. It'll be classism. Because now what is happening, you minimize and you widen the gap between the have and the have not. And so now classism, and when you're not in a certain class, you're going to be faced with certain oppressions and certain things coming your way. And you've got to be ready. We've got to have the resolve, the intellectual resolve, the mental resolve, definitely the spiritual resolve to be able to deal with these things. Because the thing about it is this here, we fought this fight. We have fought this fight, and I know for a lot of people, Black people, we're tired. We've gone through this fight before. We've stood up against all these things in the past, and it is time that everyone who have benefited from the things that have happened, it's time for them to stand up as well. Stand up in not only just prayer, but stand up in action. I mean, we understand spiritually that the Bible tells us, I believe in Psalms 34:19, reminds us that many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them out of all. But there must be systemic actions and plans to come forth too, that we are not, if you would, overtaken like a storm.
Absolutely. Senator Cory Booker is there pleading our case and encouraging, the other senators and Congress people to stand up for what's right. Don't allow this regime to destroy us as a nation. What the wealthiest, most prosperous, strongest military in the world is going to be dismantled just because of this one person in less than 3 months has turned us upside down and a laughing stock as a nation.
Well, here's the thing about it, and this has been my prayer, and I've always said this, so I want to make it clear. For me, it's not been about Republican versus Democrat entirely. With this particular administration, it's been about the way that they do things,
right?
The tactics. It's been those type things. I'm very transparent. I've voted Republican before in time past, but that's when
I have too.
That's when people had sense. In many things, they align in the same values that I do. But here's the thing about it. When we see what is happening now, that's not for the good of those of the people, not at all, because they oppress those that are oppressed even greater. How is that really being God's mouthpiece when the policies and things that you're doing is robbing people? It is oppressing them even greater. You're putting people in a situation. And the thing about it, at the end of the day, to me, the biggest insult has been this. We want to have mass deportation of all these individuals out of here, mainly people from what? The southern border, the people who have come from Black and brown nations. And yet it's still, by the same token, you talking about this new gold card that you want to have, that you want to basically sell American citizenship for $5 million. And you know that you're looking toward people from Europe and other places, folks to come and here's a $5 million, gold card. You can get American citizenship and all those things there. Now, what part of this don't we understand? What we're saying is basically, listen, we don't mind immigrants. We just want the certain kind.
Right.
And we want the certain kind. But my problem is this. If you can create a gold card and you can sell American citizenship for $5 million, then listen, why can't we individually sell our own citizenship for $5 million and let's get up out of here?
Mm-hmm. But here again, the question is, Who is generating going to get the money, the benefits of this money that you call trillions of dollars that you're saving supposedly the American people? How are we going to benefit off of that when you've stripped jobs away from individuals that have been in corporate America for 10, 15, 20 years and rely on that job, rely on that income to support their families? How are you strengthening those families? How are you strengthening our military when you want to utilize them to fight your battle when they're looking at the veterans that you're stripping of their rights and their homes and their jobs? How? And who is it benefiting? Where is it going? We're sitting back as a people twiddling our thumbs when Edmund Burke said that, that evil prevails when good people do nothing. That means we sitting back just looking to them, wow, look at what's going on. Look at what's happening here. Nobody's doing nothing. They just talking. Nobody's doing nothing. We're back in the day. We marched, we protested, we stood up for what was right, but nobody's not saying nothing. All they're doing is saying, wow. And crime is going to go up because people can't provide for their families. They're closing offices that have resources to benefit the families for the meanwhile and in between time. So who is this helping? How are the tariffs that you're imposing on these countries going to help us as a people when we already struggling to buy eggs at $7, $8, $9, $10 a carton?
Well, those are legitimate questions, Dr. Val, and very legitimate questions when we begin to talk about that. For one thing is this, these two different schools of thoughts about tariffs. What we're really seeing is a president who's really trying to strong arm other nations, trying to strong arm them, force. And once again, that's force. And for people who see leadership as being forceful and doing these type things there, but not thinking it out, the tariffs that you impose upon Canada and those type things there. And then for Canada to strike back, say, oh no, we got some for you. Because all of a sudden you forget about the fact of how much we depend on Canada for certain things. Mm-hmm. How much Canada contributed this. And the thing that it's even crazier.
And some of the power is powered by Canada in US and cities. Canada said last month, hey, I'll put you in the dark.
Yeah. And so the thing about it is this, why are we, there's a word that is called allies. And allies, there's no, you will never be a great nation alone. You have to have allies. And the thing about it, this whole America's first isolationist mess was tried before. And even Ronald Reagan, of all people, understood the fact that that's not going to work. America first isolates us and put us in very great danger. America's first is not the route to go. You've got to understand these things that are clear. Allies and having great allies is important. We have a person who's basically about to threaten the existence of NATO. You talk about, we're talking about.
You don't understand. He hasn't a clue.
No. Well, you're not a great student of history at all. And you couldn't be, because the fact.
And he's listening to Elon Musk. Okay, so where is the vice president at? Was he replaced by Elon?
Well, to be determined. To be determined. I will say this is that we have a real issue here, because see, one question that have never been answered is, I'm still waiting on the answer. When was America great? What era? Make America great again. Point out to me when America was great.
That's interesting, Dr. J.
I'm trying to understand. I'm a decent student of history. When were we great? And great for who? Our people definitely wasn't great for long. Our people wasn't great. No. We come through not only slavery, the Jim Crow era, and all those things that have happened. Now, we have survived because that's who we are. But meaning,
we survive, and we will survive again, because, one of the things is that we have to learn how to control our money and how to support in our own neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to stick together and pray together again. This is the only way this is going to work. And you want to starve out somebody, how about starve out everybody else and empower us as a people?
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, Dr. Val, I have to say it this way here, and I want to encourage people. Number one, God's purpose always prevails. There's not no political leader, no matter who they are, how foolish or corrupt, that can stop God's plan for the people, period. Historically, Pharaoh tried to keep the Israelites in bondage, but could he? No, because God raised up a Moses. Nebuchadnezzar tried to, if he would, he tried to destroy the faithful, such as Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But what? But God saved them from that. And today, I'm still going to say no president, no government, no system can stop God's divine destiny for Black America, America at all, and all who seeks justice. Because at the end of the day, I love Isaiah 54:17 that says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And I understand that. And I understand that. And this is for, I mean, this is literally for people who are feeling overwhelmed, for people that are feeling like, God, what am I going to do next? Folks that feel like they're about to lose things. There are folks who's relying on their 401ks or retirement. Those things are being threatened because of the crazy stock market, even inside of the crazy things every time you open your mouth about tariffs and this and we're going to impose that. I mean, monies are being lost left and right. But yet and still, we have a blueprint. Why? Because we're more than conquerors. We're more than conquerors. The struggles of the civil rights movement, the victories of the Voting Rights Act, and we can go even further. In the historic, even the historic election of Barack Obama proved that no matter what the obstacle is, we push forward. We push forward. We just don't survive. We thrive, and we will do it again. Because at the end of the day, one of my favorite part of the scripture, Dr. Val, is Romans 8:37. Yet in all these things,
Yes,
we're more than conquerors through him who loved us. And I believe that. I believe that. And I believe that in this time that we're facing this, I want to encourage the audience, we got to have faith over fear, because wisdom don't worry. Okay? Faith over fear, wisdom over worry. In this time here, we got to be very strategic. Why? Because the media may stir up fear. The politicians may incite division, and we see that happening, but we do not live by fear. We stand on faith, wisdom, and perseverance. And that's my word to anybody out there. Listen, our ancestors fought through worse, and we will not be defeated by temporary turmoil. Simple as that.
and this is a great time, Dr. J, for individuals to go and support their local governments. Go to the town hall meetings, go to city hall when things are going on, go to the meetings. This is not the hour or the time for you to sit back and let things just run its course. And then you find out down the road that they building a strip joint in your neighborhood because you didn't go to the meeting to vote against it. It's time out for, our neighborhoods being ripped apart by ungodly people and things coming to our neighborhood that will affect our education for our children and our children's safety going to school. We must participate. All through last year, we kept begging and begging that you support your local government, not just the presidency, but your local government, where things take form, when things take shape, because we're the ones that send them up to DC to fight for us.
Right.
So you got to make sure that you select people in your local community, that are going to serve you as a people, that'll make sure that when monies are being given out from DC, that it's going to affect our local community. There are going to be people that's going to be out of work. There's going to be people that are going to lose their homes, and we need to have resources available to undergird them. There are going to be seniors in a community that are not going to be able to get from A to Z because they're going to pull transportation. They're going to pull assistance for the food programs and stuff they have. They're going to strip the young people, the 4-year-olds of early education. We must participate in our local community. This is the only way we're going to survive. And then we got to be our brother's keepers. We got to look out for one another and stop being selfish and talking about me, myself, and I. This is the only way we are going to survive.
It is the way that we've survived before. We have to understand this is about being my brothers and sisters keeper. We have to understand that is the only way we're going to do so. Listen, there's enough room for criticism on everything, but in times like this, we come together. In times like this, as you said, all politics is really local. All government is local. We have to start on a local level and understanding these things that are so very, very important. And so when we start talking about coming together, it's more than that. It's strategically, how do we make it look? Here's the thing that I'm very concerned about in this day and time. Do we have the courage? Watch this. Do we have the courage to fight and yet the humility to work together? The humility to work together. Too often people want to grandstand. They want to be, I'm leading this, I'm leading that. Listen, leading it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be the everything to it. You got to be, you got to understand what must happen here. It's going to call us together as communities. It's going to call us together as churches. It's going to call us together inside of all these things here. And we're going to have to allow the wisdom of God, the wisdom, not a bunch of sound bites, the wisdom, not a bunch of flashy words, but the wisdom to come together and say, this is how we must work together. This is what we have to look at. You know, I love when the scripture said, when it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices. So let's start with the righteous. Let's start with that part there, because we still got work to do. So we understand at the end of the day, listen, some trust in horses, some trust in chariots, but we will trust in the name of our Lord. And that's what we have to do. And we have to demonstrate that. Trusting in God is not some type of a mystical thing. It's not something that we say as a bunch of hyperbole. It is about really trusting him, knowing that he has a historical record. He has proven himself over and over again. I once was young and now I'm old, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken, neither his seed beggeth bread. And
we just got to make sure we that seed.
That's right. There you go.
That's the bottom line, because it's only but the righteous shall be saved. So we got to make sure that we're counted in that number. And, you know, we got to show love one for another. You know, I said at the top of the year that I believe this is the greatest season of revival that we're going to see as a people. You know, it's time for us to really get back to the beginning, back to the basis when we cared about individuals' lives and souls.
Absolutely.
Lives and souls, because people are leaving here and men's hearts are going to fail for fear because of what is to come. So we have to make sure that we're preaching and teaching individuals not only how to live, but how to survive.
Yeah, and that is so important. You know, I believe this, that not only this, you know, more than confident, we're more than confident that he that have begun this good work in us is able to complete it. We're not done yet. Perhaps everything that's happening right now is God shaking the tree.
Shaking us up.
And we're being shaken because sometimes we become complacent, even in that which looks to be good. We become complacent inside of just a little progress. I asked this question a few weeks ago. I was on a family conference call, a prayer call, and I asked the family, and many of them, I said, let me ask you a question. Does the extent of our faith in loving God only works as long as God is blessing us with things, this, here, that, and other? Is that's where it is? We acknowledge him as long we're getting those things done? Is that the limit of where we go? Or does our faith causes us to go beyond ourselves and see others? How do we reach out to others? My heart is breaking right now for veterans. Why? Because too often we encounter veterans that are struggling, homeless veterans, people that have
Homeless veterans, people that have
served this country, people
lost.
that have put their life on the line, people that have lost
Yes.
limbs, and people that have lost family, and many have lost their mind inside of it. And you're going to tell me we come back home that we can't find, where's our indebtedness to them? Where's our indebtedness to them? And so it is really incumbent upon us. It's incumbent upon us to be the very change that we desire to see. And what this will teach us is that we're not looking to the government. No. We understand the government. We understand its role. But listen, we understand that the power is with the people. And the people that, once again, that know their God shall be strong and do mighty exploits.
Amen. Well, it's wrapping up another Hot Topics from the Soul, and encourage you to tune in and join us next week. And thank you to everyone that has reached out to me that knew I had eye surgery. I appreciate you so much. And we will continue this next week. Why? Because we will survive.
Yes, we will.
Good night and God bless. And don't forget to subscribe to Hot Topics from the Soul.